Hey, eventual millionaire. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Today, we're going into depth on validating your business idea. I get this question over and over and over again. And I had my dear friend Billy Murphy come on the show. He runs a site called foreverjobless.com. He also has an awesome podcast, so make sure you check that out. I hope you enjoy. I have Billy Murphy on Millionaire Insiders today, and I'm specifically asking him what he does to go through and validate his business ideas. So he actually just launched something new, and I asked him the step-by-step formula that he used in order to find out whether it was a good investment of his time and his money. Make sure you stay tuned. What we really want to do right now is dive deep into exactly what he did to validate his idea. So we were just talking about Ecom Lab, which is something that you recently launched. How did you A, get the idea, and then B, validate it? Go through the steps that you took.
Sure. I guess initially I started thinking about the idea because started launching e-commerce stores in 2011, and it was pretty difficult to know where all the answers were. I knew I wanted to do it, and lucky for me, I had a buddy who was doing really well at it. So every time I ran into an issue or I had no idea what the answer was, I just call him. And so people would always ask me, how did you get into e-commerce stores? How can I do that too? And I was always like, oh, it's easy. Just throw up a store, just start marketing, whatever. But then I sat back and realized that, like, wait a minute, it was a little easier for me because I could call my buddy who was killing it and get all the answers. So I knew it was, there was kind of a gap because people were asking me the same questions I was asking when I started. So I knew there was still a need for it. And then I actually put out a blog post last year and basically just talked about some of my adventures in e-commerce. Basically, it was post was how to get lucky in e-commerce, and I just listed 4 little stories of, like, how I bought certain deals, how I started certain niches, and literally got like hundreds of comments and like probably 100 emails on that one post. And I was like, and my blog was only a few weeks old, so I was like, okay, this is clearly a bigger need than I even thought it was. And I was on the fence already about starting something like that. So I was like, okay, like I guess I'm going to start it. But before I decided to start it, I wanted to do more due diligence. So I would cold call and cold email, like, literally probably 100 business owners in the space, like in the e-commerce store space. So people who had, the platforms like BigCommerce, Shopify, Illusion. I would talk to people who had apps. I would talk to people who had stores, and just pick everybody's brain. And so
How do
it
you do
worked.
that first? Like you just randomly call up people and say, "Hey, I want to pick your brain," because usually that doesn't go over well. Like how did you do it?
So I had an assistant that would email them, and she would say, hey, my boss Billy is interested in doing a call with you. I think she said something along the lines of, he's not. She would, set it up so that they know I'm not trying to sell him anything. She said basically he just wants to network. He's an e-commerce store owner. He's getting into the space on the service side of the business and would love to just chat and network with you for a couple minutes. And so, and I mean, we got a pretty good response. Like, obviously some people are like, I don't know what it's about, so I'm not going to do it. But however, most people were willing to do it. I mean, and I think this really helps a lot. Is I never knew this because I didn't have a blog until like last year, but I think having the blog and like showing like at least some of your thoughts and ideas on a blog helps, because then people can look at it and say, like, okay, what is this person about? And I think that raised the percentage of people who would do a call with me if they liked anything that I was doing. And so it's funny because one of the people that I tried to get a call with myself, I sent her an email and I said, hey, I love the stuff you're doing. Love to just call you and chat with you for a couple minutes. And I get those emails all the time, and I delete them
Yeah.
all or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, and she wrote me back and said, I get these requests all the time. So sorry, I don't have time to do calls. And I get an email back 30 minutes later, says, I didn't know you were the Billy from Forever Jobless. I'd love to do a call with you. Like, here's my details. And I was like, are you serious? Like, I'm the same person. Like,
That
whether I have
Billy.
so it was like that kind of opened my eyes to, like, wow, okay, I guess having a blog actually is like, there's some benefits to it. So I think that helped get a higher response rate from people. So I would just call them up and basically say, I'd give them a quick, like, 20-second pitch. And I'll tell you, my pitch it was basically, I'd say something along the lines of, hey, I don't know how much Stella told you. Stella was my assistant's name. I don't know how much he told you, but basically, yeah, I've been in the e-commerce space for the last couple of years, thinking about getting the service side of the business, and really just wanted to touch base, find out more about what you're doing, and just kind of maybe get your feedback on what I'm thinking about doing. That was it. So I'd open it like that. So
Mm.
basically, it was they knew I wasn't there to like didn't need to sell them anything or whatever. It was just like, hey, we're two people in the e-commerce space, love to chat with you, basically. And so I had a lot of really good conversations. I mean, a lot of people would literally just tell me things for 30 minutes an hour, like just tell me everything they knew about the space. So it was, it's worked out really well.
Nice. Okay, so how do you know? So you have all these calls set up. Do you know about how many calls you did beforehand? You were like, okay, I'm sure.
I'm not sure. Like I was, I was pretty sure I was going to do it after the first, dozen or however many, but I kept doing them because I kept learning more as I would do more. So, and that's actually like the more calls I did, the more I thought about potentially doing other business ideas instead because of all the feedback I was getting on the calls. So, um, and actually the calls pretty much confirmed everything I thought about it. Basically, that it was going to be a very very hard business to market because the e-commerce market is very fragmented, and I knew that going in. But a lot of people said if you can crack it and figure out how to do that, um, then like there's clearly a need. Like everyone pretty much agreed that there was a need, but everyone said, yeah, we don't know how you would market that because it's kind of like it's very chicken and egg because of the fragmented market. So they essentially confirmed what I thought, and so I, said I'm okay with the risk and just did it.
What made you say that you're okay with the risk? Because that's the thing. If lots and lots of people are like, yeah, but I don't know about the marketing, and right? You can do your due diligence as much as you possibly can. You know there's a need there. But a
Yep.
big piece is being able to reach those people that have
Yeah.
that. So what made you decide to go with it? And I know you just launched it recently, so it's not as though we can really go through data. Maybe I can have you go back on and we can start getting data when afterwards.
Sure.
But just in general, how did you make that leap? I mean, that is a lot of risk.
Yeah. So as you know, I'm like really mathematical, and so I basically any business project that I go into, I calculate like a rough EV, which is expected value. So I don't calculate it on like, hey, I may fail or it may succeed. I calculate it on what's the EV. And so basically I was okay. So the risk of doing a site like that, I custom did it and all that. So the risk of something like that, I'm going to lose five figures if it doesn't go well. Like worst case scenario, I'm going to lose five figures. And I'm okay with that risk. However, if it works out and I can figure it out, it's a type of business that like no question would be making five figures a month passively after some time, like after you set it up and scaled it and worked it, then it would work like that. So in other words, I view like a risk reward as in, okay, worst case scenario, like if no one in the world ever bought it or ever wanted to visit the site, like I'd lose five figures, like low five figures on the site. um, a good case scenario where it worked and I figured out the marketing angle, um, that's a business that's definitely going to make five figures a month and could be autopilot after a certain period of time. So I viewed it like that, and just that was the type of risk that I was okay with. So maybe if I had done way bigger projects before, maybe I'd say, hey, that's if it's not making six figures a month, it's not going to be worth my time. But to set up a business that has a good chance to make five figures a month passively is, I mean, it's worth my time. So.
I hope you enjoyed that interview. And if you want more like it, go to eventualmillionaire.com. If you click on the millionaire case studies, you will see over 200 millionaire interviews. I don't want you to get overwhelmed, of course, but I do want you to pick the one that might make the biggest difference in your business today. So what's something you're struggling with, and take a look and see if one of those could specifically help you. Don't just take information for information's sake. I want you to be able to take the information, have it applicable to you right now. You use it, you take action, you see results, you come back and go, Jamie, that was amazing. That's what I want. So go check out eventualmillionaire.com and click on the millionaire case studies. Thanks.